so starting standing this morning, I'll stand a little bit further back off my mat. We're only here for the breath practice, and then we'll be going down to do stuff nearer the floor. So what is yoga? This is our third class on that theme, moving away a little bit from all the anatomy stuff we've been doing recently. So what is yoga? The thing that came to mind this week for me as the answer was connecting to space. So various connections in space. So here, spread yourself out a little bit, have your feet a little bit wider, make sure you find your space in Tadasana this morning. Have a little roll through your feet. Plant yourself. This is your spot. And then popping your hand, one hand over your heart and one over your belly for our breath practice this morning, if you're comfortable doing that. And spread your hands, spread the palms, make them spacious. Find the space in the hands, open up through the fingers. And then going back to the feet, connect to this space you're on and what you always take up. Spread your feet a little bit wider through the soles if you can. Have a little rock through from the ball to the heels. And just feel the length of the feet and widen across the balls of the toes, or the base of the toes rather. And then close your eyes if you're comfortable. If not, and you feel a little bit dizzy, keep your eyes half open and just find a focal point, a drishti. And find your breath. And just watch your breath for a minute. And then begin to find space in your breath by lengthening the breath. Breathing in through your nostrils and out through your nostrils if they're available this morning. If not, use your mouth. Just gently connecting with the breath, finding the space in your body to place the breath a little bit deeper, taking the breath a little bit slower, and then moving into Ujjayi breath. So remember, Ujjayi breath is the one where, particularly on the exhale, you hear that sound at the back of your throat, a bit like the ocean, they say. It's also called ocean breath. So it's breathing in, you can hear a little bit of it. What you're doing is closing off that little glottal space at the back of your throat, that little valve area. And then breathing out. So there's still a little space there, but it sounds a bit like snoring, remember. It's like the sound. Just finding the Ujjayi breath this morning. We don't use it. We haven't used it for quite a while, the Ujjayi breath, which is odd. We used it a lot for a while. So maybe you're taking a soft Ujjayi breath, just gently allowing the space to be a little bit more open and not forcing the air through, in or out. Or maybe you're going a little bit stronger to the medium sort of strength of Ujjayi breath. Don't think you need the full-on Ujjayi breath in this class. That's really for more when we're putting more effort into it, or when you're trying to release more. We don't really need to release too much. What we're using here also is the Samavriti breath. So we want it to be even, the exhale and the inhale to be even, the space between the inhale and the exhale to be the same as the space between the exhale and the inhale. So a very even, smooth breath. And yoga, as we did the other week, there is about breathing and movement. And our breath helps us to work and practice better in yoga. I did a class yesterday, just continue for a few more breaths, focusing on it. I did a class yesterday of my own video, and it was quite interesting that I get so much more from it, practicing it, than I do teaching yoga. Excuse me a minute. So getting much more from it, because I'm working with the breath, it's slowing me down. I'm not trying to talk along with it, but it also somehow gives you a much deeper practice, the breath. It draws you into your space much more. It connects you with what you're doing. So that's where the connection to space works with the breath. Okay, so when you're ready, slowly let go of the breath. Put your hands back down by your sides in Tadasana. Turn your palms forward, open the palms again, find the space in the palms, find the space across your clavicles, across your collarbones, open up across your upper chest there. And take just a couple of breaths, just normal Samavritti breathing here, just to come back to the body a little bit more. And then let go of the breath and open your eyes. And then just let's begin to move on the breath. Gently opening up our arms, and as we inhale, reaching out, making our space bigger. Touching the fingers, exhaling then as we turn the palms, moving our way through space. Feel the energy on the palms of your hands here. Maybe you can feel the air, just the pressure there that you can feel. Take 2 more of those, just breathing in, enjoying that slow movement through space. And then 1 more. And then keep your arms above your head, widen your stance, and come into 5 star. So really reaching out through your arms, through the soles of your feet, drawing up through from your tailbone to your crown. Maybe closing your eyes if you feel comfortable, if not, doesn't matter. Maybe a drishti, just feeling that reaching through within you, that making yourself bigger in space, taking up and holding your space. Have a few breaths. If your arms get heavy, just pop them down, but otherwise reaching out and feeling that space you take up. Yoga teaches us to use our space better, to be aware of it and to really take ownership of our space. And then gently, slowly let the arms come back down. Bring the feet closer together to hip distance. We're going to take a roll down and then we'll be down on our mat from now. So inhaling, take the arms maybe up above the head if you feel one last reach up. Maybe up above the shoulders this time. Maybe rolling forward into a little bit of a back bend. And then really softening the knees as you exhale and rolling down. Taking the arms in if they get too heavy, so don't use them all the way down. Rolling down into your soft, soft, soft forward fold. And then from there, stepping back with your right foot and coming down into low lunge. So find yourself in low lunge. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale and take the arms up again, making more space, big semicircle ahead of ourselves this time. Reaching out into space through the fingertips, keeping that extension, not a back bend in the first one. Staying up, but just letting the arms come down through the shoulder movement. Finding space in the shoulder joints there through the movement. Inhaling, taking them up, finding that extension again. Reaching up through from the bent knee on the floor, reach up through, exhale back down. See if you can move forward a little bit more and open up that hip flexor at the back, just a little bit. So you might need to move your foot. Inhaling, finding that extension again through from your back knee, reaching up through to your crown and to your fingertips. Exhaling the arms down. This time, let's go up into a little bit of a back bend if you want to, or extension. And just holding there for a couple of breaths. So extend first and then slowly roll the heart open and find space in the front of your body. So now in this position, see if you can really open up that back hip flexor just a little bit more by pressing gently into the back foot and the back knee, pressing into the front foot, maybe moving your hips forward just slightly to open up that hip flexor on the back leg side. And then gently raise up, bring your arms down. Might want your bricks here if you've got them nearby. Oops, near enough. And you can put them just beside you on tall if you feel that you want them. You don't necessarily need them. All we're going to do is sit back into sort of half splits. Half, can't remember the monkey's name now. Hanumasana. So sit back gently, rolling through the back hip and opening up that front leg. Be very gentle. We haven't opened up the hamstring too much yet. So just gently opening up through and sitting back down a little bit. You don't need to go fully to the heel. And then rocking through back into your low lunge. We're going to take 3 or 4 of those, just rocking and rolling to change the movement through the hips. So as you rock forward, try and use your inhale. And you'll feel you're opening up that back hip flexor and the bottom of the back of the front hip. As you rock back, the movement goes through the front hip, you might feel more, and opens up the back of the front leg. Lots of backs and fronts here. So just trying to rock through the hips, warm them up a little bit. Take it easy, take it on very slow breaths. And then coming to a standstill. If anybody has knee issues here, remember you can use one of the cushions that you've got there or padding under your knees. Bring that front foot back now to kneeling. And if you need it, remember you can fold your mat and kneel on that. That will give your knees a bit less pressure. So come to kneeling and coming to kneeling up. So your hip flexors are open again. Think of that pelvic tilt now that we do and put your hands on the front and back of you so the back of you pointing your fingers down towards your heels and the front of you pointing your fingers down towards your knees. And then just take a few pelvic tilts. So just rolling through that area of the hips. Just the hips are moving here. You're using your abdominal muscles to draw up, that pelvis to belly button feeling. And not going too far when you roll back, just being a little bit aware of your SI joints. You can feel them moving under your back hand. And then pop both your hands behind you, both with fingers pointing downwards on your top of your buttocks there. Draw your tummies in again. Move your hips forward slightly a little bit more so that you can feel your hip flexors here opening up a bit. And then pressing your hands in gently and downwards. So as if you were trying to slide your hands down your bottom, drawing your elbows in towards each other and moving up through to your crown from your knees. Just reach up, moving your hips slightly forward, squeezing the glutes just to open up those hip flexors a little bit. Drawing the elbows closer together to open up across your chest. We're not going into a back bend yet, so don't force this. Just think of extending as you open up the chest and open up that front of your abdominal area and the hip flexors. And also down the front of your quads to your knees, you should feel it. And then release. So doing that in 3 parts now. We're going to sit down onto our heels gently. And then we're going to move up as we breathe in into that position we've just taken. So extended with elbows back, hips forward. Take a breath or 2 there. And then on the next inhale, pushing down through your knees and reaching up through your crown, roll your heart forward and come into a little bit of a back bend here. So into a form of camel, a modified camel shape. Uttanasana, no, can't get my Sanskrit right this morning. And then release. Sit back down gently onto your heels. Breathing in, coming up into that extended version, taking a breath or 2 there, thinking of the elbows going back together, the hips moving forward, the crown moving upwards, space in your front body. On your next inhale, draw in, reach up, and roll that heart forward into a little bit of a back bend here. Really feeling it open up the front of you. And then gently extending as you roll back up to neutral, and then sitting back down onto your hips. And then if you need to bring a brick in, do so. We're coming down now into Balasana, so rolling ourselves into a really small space. Take your elbows to the floor, don't go into extended, trying to make yourself as small as possible, coming into your little space here. Head on the floor or head on a brick. And just take a few breaths. A soft Ujjayi breath if you can find it. Coming into your space, this body that we live in, the only place you will live in this lifetime, within that body. Nobody else in there with you. Just you in your space. And after you've enjoyed a couple of breaths there in your little space, come out of it again, roll up and come into all fours. Find your neutral spine. Hold that tummy in to support your lower back. Hold that chin up to support the weight of your head. And then extending through our right leg, just trailing the toes slowly along the floor onto the ball of the foot. So the foot stays on the floor, but you go onto the ball and you open up that space in your sole of that foot. Again, maybe feeling your hip flexor. Try to keep the hips parallel here, so you've not pulled one hip backwards. You're keeping your hips parallel and really lengthening through the leg, through down to your heel from that hip flexor. And then if you're comfortable, taking the left hand along the floor and keeping it on the floor, but really extending out as far as your fingers can reach without drawing that shoulder forward. So keep the shoulders parallel and try not to extend and move yourself into a twist. Try and keep shoulders and hips parallel in this position. So sometimes we overstretch ourselves and go take too much space up when we shouldn't do so. So just thinking of that now. Then taking the hand and leg back in. We're going to rock back and we're going to find the right foot forward now into our low lunge. So we're taking the same sequence in low lunge here. So have your bricks handy for when we're going to roll back. First of all, when you found low lunge, it can be your low lunge. Remember, we don't need to go into full deep low lunge. If you are in a deep one, see if you can just move that back hip forward a little bit and feel the opening through your hip flexor a bit more. Okay, so when we're there, we're inhaling and we're extending, reaching up through, trying to keep the shoulders down, but reaching up through the crown from that back knee. And then exhaling down. Take two more of the extended feelings. So pressing gently through that front foot as you lift up. Maybe takes the weight off the back knee a little bit if anybody's feeling that too much. If you are, then just bring in the back knee. It's possibly because you've rolled forward too far. But this pose should be almost off the knee. It should be the end of your thigh bone you're on when you're in the full pose. But that can be very uncomfortable for some people. So now thinking of going up and rolling open on the inhale and into that extension and into our back bend and holding for a couple of breaths. Feeling that lovely space through the front of the body and particularly down through the left-hand side in my case now. And then bringing the hands up to neutral and back down again. Bringing your bricks in. We're going to take that movement forward and back again. So inhaling, we're at the front. Exhaling, we're sitting back. Very gently watch that front hamstring just for the start. And then rolling back up through into low lunge. So inhaling forward, exhaling back if it works for you. Using your bricks just for stability, for a little bit of height there, so that you're not having to go straight back down. Don't go too far in the back knee as you roll backwards. If you find that hard, then please don't go any further than your body's telling you to. It's telling you that because it's not ready to open and be forced like a door open. Okay. And then coming back up. Move the bricks out the way. You'll need them again in a moment possibly. Bring that right leg back again and back into tabletop. Now we're going to go into lizard here. So lizard, you can either move the hands before we move into it and bring your right hand in under your face, and then you rock back and bring your right foot outside of your right hand. Or you can Go forward into low lunge by bringing the right foot between the hands, and then moving the right hand in between the foot and the hand, if that makes sense, and just walking that foot out. Whichever way you find is more easeful this morning to get into lizard. So basically you've got 3 limbs on the floor at the front. And the foot's on the outside now. It's like low lunge, but the foot's on the outside. Have a look at the back leg. Make sure it's going straight back from that hip. Maybe go a little bit further out in my case. I can extend and open up that hip flexor a little bit more. And then I'm rolling onto the outside edge of the front foot. If that's not for you, please don't do it, but it will just give you a little bit more of a hip opener. So find your lizard this morning. Some of you may even want to take your elbows right down. Not for me this morning. My body doesn't feel open enough to do that. But take it the way you want to do it. You might prefer to have your bricks in and have yourself a little bit higher. We're only here for a couple of more breaths and then we'll move into the other side. So taking it the way you think you feel is best for you. But what we're trying to do is open the back hip flexor and at the same time open the front hip a little bit. You should feel it kind of on the outside of that hip. These are muscles that get very tight and that we don't open. We don't do this position very often in daily life. So, okay, so moving back up gently, drawing back, taking that front leg back into tabletop, finding your way in then to the other side of lizard. So either moving hands and feet or just sweeping back and bringing the foot into that third inline position. Opening out the back leg a little bit more if you can, just to open out your hip flexor, reaching through the crown from the back knee, drawing the tummy up, maybe drawing your shoulders back a little bit and opening up a little bit more through the front body, rocking onto the outside edge if it's comfortable on that front foot, and maybe closing your eyes if you can, coming back into your space. Noticing what's happening in your body while you're drawing inwards. Where are the sensations in your body through this pose? Where is the stillness through this pose? Where does it feel like there's more space now? And where is the space contained? And then rolling that foot up and coming back. And coming into wide-legged Balasana this time. So pop the big toes together, the knees out to roughly the width of the mat, sitting back onto your hips, bringing your brick in if you need it for your head, or a cushion, and popping your head on the floor, elbows on the floor, arms are maybe a little bit wider here. To the width of the mat, I quite like it. I like to open my shoulders in this one as well as opening up my hips. So wide leg, wide arm sometimes feels nice. A little bit of a cactus arm feeling. And find the space in your body to breathe. So this is a bit more open than child's pose. Bit more space in your abdominal area, front and back, in your hip area. You probably feel the area at the base of your spine where your sacroiliac joints are. And I can feel your hips have turned slightly there. And there's a bit more space in those joints, possibly, or maybe you're finding that there's a bit more pressure towards the back of them. Imagine those little joints that are tiny little saucer joints. They're not very deep at all. So there's not a rim there so much to press against, but you might have felt a bit more pressure towards the back of that joint in the lower back. If there's any pressure in that area any time that feels uncomfortably wrong, then please move yourself slowly out of whatever position you're in. So then coming back up to tabletop now. And here we're going to take our dog leg circles. So just opening our hips up a little bit more before we take our next pose. So we're going to take our right leg up at the right angle shape it's in already. So just squeezing the outside of that hip to lift that leg up. Foot's flexed here. And then we're just going to imagine there's a pencil on your knee and just take a few little circles. Now watch what's happened at your hips. Have you twisted and rolled there? If you have, drop the knee a little bit. Don't take it up so high that you're rolling yourself round. And then go in the other direction. If this is too heavy, just take up and downs. Don't need to do the circles. The up and downs will open your hip in a slightly different way. And then pop that knee back to the floor and take it on the other side. So maybe you want to do up and downs now that I've given you that option. Or maybe you want to do them and then take a few circles. Just whatever you think will warm up that area in your hip joint. We're not doing yin this morning. We want the muscles to be warm so that when we go into the bigger poses, we can allow them to stretch a little bit more. And then coming back to neutral. So we're going to find a man-mite pose now, or my man-mite pose, pigeon. But I'm going to ask, it's up to you, but I'm going to stay up in pigeon today. So I'm going to use my bolster here, which is covered in dog hairs now. But you can use bricks. You can use your bricks in front of you, either in middle or tall, to stay up. Don't worry about that too much at the moment. Use your hands at the moment. We're going to just rock back and bring our right knee. So you brought your hands, sorry, before you come forward. Hands have moved slightly more back to the lizard position here, and the knee is going to go outside where the foot was placed in lizard, basically. So we're going to rock back and draw the right knee forward to where that foot was in lizard. Now that's the start of getting into this position. So look back and see what that back leg's doing. It should be going straight back from your hip. It shouldn't be going out to the side. You shouldn't really be able to see your foot. And see if you can walk it back a little bit more just to open up that hip flexor. Some of you may not want to do full pigeon. You might want to do this just as it is. You might want to rock onto the side of your hip and sit down in it and take that position in pigeon, moving your hands to allow yourself to do that. If you're going to go into pigeon, there's no need to draw the foot too far forward, but I do like to turn it a little bit just to get that opening a little bit more on the outside edge of this hip at the back, the front hip. And keep that knee well out of the way of the body. Then I'm going to, you can use your bricks here if you want to, if you haven't got bolster, and just draw yourself up to sitting upwards in pigeon instead of rolling forward downwards. You can take down if you'd rather, but I'm going to come up into what is king pigeon. So we sit up in king pigeon normally. We don't normally go right down. So you're sitting up. Now, I'm one of those people that my front hip never sits down on the floor. They're just not made to do that. I'm never going to be able to force it into that position. So I don't even try to think about it. It's a challenge for me. But however much I did this, it wouldn't go into sitting down in the back on the floor. Some of you may have that flexibility in your hips, or it may be that your hips turn that way, mine turn the other way. But if you're finding that uncomfortable, you can always put a brick under that hip to sit on and just make it feel more comfortable for you there. Props are there for propping. The thing to remember in pigeon is not to put any strain through that front knee particularly. So the more you're over to the left of the right knee in my position, so their body weight is not forcing through that front knee. And as you sit backwards, you're taking the weight off your front knee. So if you walk that back foot back a little bit more, you'll find the movement goes into your hip, but it comes out of your knee. Okay, so I've talked you through this side for quite a while instead of using our breath. We'll use our breath on the other side when we take it. Okay, so coming out of that carefully, rolling up, taking the weight off that front leg and moving it back. Moving your bolster or bricks just out the way for a second and coming down onto your bellies and down onto the floor on the front of you. then reaching out through the leg that was your front leg there, my right leg in my case. I'm reaching out through the back toes here and really extending. And then I'm going to take the left leg out into half frog. So right angle from your body to the front of your thigh, and a right angle at the back of your knee, and then a right angle at the front of your ankle. And then coming right down onto the floor, head turning towards the bent leg. The same arm as the bent leg is bent, so it's coming out at your shoulder in a mirror image. And then you're extending through the other arm so that there's one long straight line on that side. Really opening up through the knee again, through the hip flexor. Give your toes a little wiggle on that side. Extend through the sole of the foot if you can. Give your fingers a little wiggle on that side. Extend through the palm. Open it up. Find space. And take a couple of breaths here before we move and do the same thing on the other side. Just enjoying that space in front of your body. The connection with the space underneath you. People always talk about the mat as being a safe space. We have many safe spaces, hopefully, around us. But it definitely does have that feeling of being somewhere that is just yours. A little bit like your body. It's where you live. And the mat has the same extended feeling of that. This is your space to be alone, to do your thing. And keep that yoga mat close. Okay, so then gently coming out of that and back up to all fours. Take your time. Rolling back up to all fours in your own time. Now we're going to open the hip in all fours, just in a different way instead of the dog leg that we did a minute ago. So we're just going to do our curls and open into tiger if you want, which tiger is when you really lift the leg up and flex that foot behind you. And then you bring the knee in and you go back into tiger. If you want to keep your foot in the floor or keep it up a little bit higher, just extend instead of holding that back leg, then please do so. So it's just a case of thinking of warming up that hip. So inhaling and then exhaling, we're drawing the knee in towards your nose. Doesn't need to go too far. Opening up, so you're doing the cat-cow back at the same time here. Rolling through that hip. Inhaling as you open, exhaling as you close. So it's not just a hip movement here, the whole body's having to work along with that. But it kind of finishes and starts in the hip. And then swap sides, same thing. So inhale and then exhale, bring the knee in, into a cat back, inhale and open into your cow back and lifting that leg to wherever you're comfortable. If you're lifting it, your legs just really stay in the same folded position. Opening up through your heart, maybe drawing it forward between your arms as you go into cow. And really rolling it in as you come into cat. Working with the breath. And then coming back to neutral, going to take pigeon on the other side. Might be the same, might be different. Remember to move the left hand in this case back under your face now. So your hands are there and it's left space for you to rock back and bring your left knee outside of your mat, or to the outside of your mat. So draw your body over to the right a little bit more so that it's definitely not placing a strain on your knee. Remember, you can then, if you'd rather, roll onto that hip and just sit on it. That is one option here, moving your body then over the hip, and you will get an opening there. If you go into pigeon, you might find it for yourself by now. If not, walk that back leg back as far as you can to open up through that hip flexor. And then if you want to draw that foot round, whoops, got my into the wrong position. Draw that foot round a little bit more, bring in your props, and then sit back onto that hip. So the idea, as I say, is to roll the weight off of that front knee and take it through the movement into this area at the side and inside the back of your hip here. It's a really direct movement into the hip, this one. It's got a very definite point that you can feel where the asana really focuses on. But it might be a different feeling for you and me because, as I say, my hips are very tight sitting in this, so it'll be the tight bit of me that I can feel it in. Other parts of you may move much easier. Just finding the breath. Now let's take a count from 5 down to 1 using our breath. So really focusing on the breath as we breathe in, counting that as 5, and exhale. So the next one's 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Just taking 5 breaths here. Really focusing on the breath, trying to forget what's happening in the rest of the body, but not coming out of the pose too much. So make sure you don't lose your alignment. And as you breathe and count, your body will soften because you're not focusing on that space. When we really focus on a space, that's sometimes all we can think about. That space may be another person, it may be a memory, it may be something not tangible. But when we really focus on that, we can't think straight sometimes. So focus on your breath in this case here. Okay, so then we're moving out once you get to 1 breath. Moving back out of this pose. Back down onto the floor, taking half frog on this side. So the side that you were in pigeon on, the front leg, is the extended side, remember. So you want the arm and leg extended on that side, your head turned towards the other side, and the leg and the arm in a kind of cactus shape, if you like, top and bottom. If your head isn't comfortable on the floor, please feel free to drag one of your cushions in here. And then just count down again from 5 on your breath, in your own time, in your own space, without me talking. Into the peace and space. And then once you've come down to the count of 1 again, and you come out of that, but stay on the floor and roll onto your back now. And find your 5-star shape again here on your back. So a little bit wider legs in Shavasana. Taking the arms out to the side, keeping the shoulders and the elbows and the back of the hand on the floor if you can. So it doesn't matter if they're not going upwards, if they're going to the side, as long as you're extending out and making your space, making yourself take up as much space as possible here on the floor. Well, I've gone into a bit of a back bend doing this, I've just noticed. So I'm going to try now and roll my spine back down onto the floor and take up even more space on my mat with my body here. I've moved off the mat a little bit by coming into a back bend. Finding that space in the palms and the soles of the feet again by really having a stretch through them. And then drawing back in towards centre. Now we're going to take twisted roots to finish on either side here. So you might be propping, you might not want to go straight over to the floor. So grab cushions, blocks, whatever you need. We're going to take it over well, I was going to suggest I'll take it over to my left side first. So any props you need are on the side that you're going to roll towards. We're taking twisted roots, which is fallen eagle, I think, is the other name for it. So it's like eagle legs. So to go into that, remember we pop the feet into the position of it as if you were going to do bridge. And then we lift the right leg in my case. We lift it and we cross our legs, but thinking of going into eagle, think of that squeezing of the inner thighs that we do to cross our legs here. So really drawing in through the inner thighs and making the legs as tightly crossed at the top of your thighs as possible. And then popping the hands to the floor, lift your bottom and move it about 2 inches to your right, to the same side as the top leg. So moving 2 inches. This just gives you room to move into the twist more. Using your hands face down, you can use them to support yourself. Breathing in, and we're gently rolling over the foot that's still on the floor, just rolling onto the outside edge of it and coming into that twist. Taking the right leg over towards the floor. Finding any cushioning or props that you need to pop under your leg if you can't quite make it over into the twist. If you can, just make sure you're going to be comfortable, because we're going to be here for quite a little while. We're going to just breathe, and I'm going to read a part of a Yoga Nidra here, visualization, just to get you through this. And it's the same principle as opening up in Pigeon. If your mind's taken off what you're doing, then you'll soften and your body will release into this. We'll switch on the parasympathetic nervous system as well, and everything will soften and let go. So prop yourself first in this position and make sure you're comfortable. Try to keep that back shoulder back. You might want to take that arm out to the side and turn the palm upwards, and maybe you'll find a nice big opening then across the chest on the right hand side and on the underarm. So the opposite arm from the leg, no, same arm as leg actually, but it's going in the other way. So it's moving the twist. You might want to turn your head. Just find comfort in the twist, but make yourself as spacious as you can in it. So thinking of space here, and yoga connecting us to space, it's also in yoga about the space, the part we play in the universe, which is a massive space, obviously. So I'm reading something from a visualization in a couple of Yoga Nidras here. So we'll do a little bit here and then a little bit on the other side. So in this visualization, imagine moving far, far away now from your physical body. So taking yourself out of the room that you're in and out of the building. In your mind's eye, taking yourself right out and upwards, beginning to move towards the point where the light of the sky starts to fade. To where you're able to look backwards and down at earth, that big round self-contained ball floating in space. And with a little bit more effort in your imagination, feel yourself floating out of the atmosphere and into the midnight blue of space. That vast expanse of nothingness, and yet with everything in it. Where stars and moons and planets move in perfect alignment, all in their right space. A perfect synchronized symphony. A miraculous dance of life force, filling every unknown corner. Look at the incredible beauty of space, the brightest stars dotted around, as if someone has dipped their fingers in a pot of sparkles and put them there. That deep midnight blue, so deep that the centre is hidden and its secrets are held tight. Planets with fiery circles spinning around them. Explosions of energy and immense power blasting from the surface of our sun. And yet the gentle, peaceful coolness of the moon shining. The ubiquitous energy and that balance of space surrounds you. You are part of this miracle, connected to it and filled with it. Part of this balance of stability and fluidity, allowing this beautiful space to exist. Now holding on to this connection with space. Begin to move slowly back through the midnight blue. Watch the stars shrinking as they drift off into the darkness, but taking that peace and stillness with you. And that ubiquitous energy radiating through you. And coming back down again to our earth and slowly feeling yourself being magnetically drawn towards the planet you call home. Back through the atmosphere, feeling the warmth of the sun on your back. Slowly moving down back into your physical body to the centre point again of your core and feeling the rhythm of your heart beating with that same energy you felt out there, filling the whole universe. So now we're going to move to the other side to finish in the other side. So slowly using your core muscles and your inhale, draw yourself back up when you're ready. Uncross your legs, move your bottom back towards centre. And maybe have a stretch out through that side. So the side that had the leg crossed, or maybe both sides, feel that space again. Opening up your legs and your arms above your head. Reaching out, drawing back in towards your centre when you're ready, and bringing your feet back in, ready to go into the same pose on the other side. Now, if anybody at any point, I hope you know, to come out of it, if you've had enough in any space that you're in, find another space. Go into Shavasana, but if you're happy to stay in this for the next little bit, crossing the legs again, remember to squeeze the inner thighs, moving the bottom again, moving it outwards so that you've got space to roll in the other direction, using your hands as support, using your inhale and then the exhale to roll over and find twisted roots on the opposite side, using propping, anything you need, carrying it over so that you can pop it under that leg and foot so that you feel comfortable and supported. Maybe turning that back shoulder, opening up the back hand, looking towards it if you're comfortable, and then finding comfort in this space. Watching your breath settle once you're in that position. And going back now to the other part of our visualisation. So now we've come back down to earth and the place you call home. But then imagine now moving down and diving into the clear surface of the ocean and feeling the cool freshness of the water as you enter. And turning again to look at the incredible beauty in this space, looking to the surface just above you and the fluorescent light playing through the water, bubbles erupting and popping. Constant movement and rhythm as the waves dance above you. Look down now to the ocean floor, to the wonderful rocks and corals of spectacular colours, long trailing arms of them wafting as if trying to reach out and break away, strange shapes of living creatures, seeming as if they could have also come from outer space. Jewel-coloured tiny fish swimming in and out, darting and leaving silver in their wake. Fat, round fish hanging in the water like helium balloons waiting for a party to begin. Tiny jade green starfish creeping slowly and carefully along the floor, and puffs of sand appearing below them as if miniature detonators are going off, where some invisible crustacean heads for cover. Everything living in a delicate yet perfect balance of movement and stillness, allowing this beautiful space to exist. And now imagine rising up again through the water of the ocean to above the surface, and move towards the expanse of land you see ahead, towards the white cliffs and sandy shores of your country. Look down as you travel across the land below, the green meadows and fields, deep valleys and gorges, rolling hills and tall tree tops, sparkling rivers and meandering brooks, little villages and quaint hamlets with village greens, small towns with parks and children screaming joyfully on swings and seesaws, people moving here and there with purpose and intent, others strolling hand in hand. Larger connotations of towns and cities sprawling outwards into the countryside. Monuments and statues, standing still in their space amongst the constant mobility of the people. Recognise now the place below you, your street, your building, sitting exactly where it should be in space. And come down now to the window and peep in to see the space where you're lying. That secure space, a safe space, where you can be free to live as you wish, where you can find the support to be still or mobile. Move closer and look at your body from above. You know it so well, this place you live in, this space of yours only, a place of strength and comfort, with bones and breath and tissues and heartbeat, and perfect balance. Your sukha, your good space, is here. So take a moment to come back into your body again. It's a clever trick we humans can do to move out of ourselves and find other space. So now you're back in your body, uncross your legs, find that openness again when you're ready. Have a stretch. Move anything that feels like it needs to move. Have a rock and roll, and when you're ready, come back up to sitting into Sukhasana. So finishing in Sukhasana, on your mat, your safe space. Sukhasana, a good space. Sukha means a good space. So it's the pose of a good space. So you're in a good space pose on a good space place. Hopefully everybody has connected through our yoga this morning to the space in your mind and in your body, to the space that you live in, and to the space in the universe where we all exist and where everything is and has its own space. And for me, that's another thing that answers the question of what is yoga, helping us to connect and find our own space. Thank you everybody for your practice today. Namaste.